That was terrible. I apologize. Don Henley. I'm so sorry. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Monday night. It's Tuesday. Welcome to the Tuesday edition, studentloanjustice.org. It is Tuesday. It is May 16th. Hope everybody's doing well out there in the world today. If you're watching us on Twitter and or Facebook, and you make a comment, I will happily read the comment aloud on air. If there's any haters watching us tonight, well, then by all means, absolutely throw your comments out, and we would be very happy to show you the light and make you look stupid, because our argument for student loan justice is sledgehammer, nuclear strong. We're fighting for two things. One, the return of bankruptcy rights to all student loans. That should be a no-brainer, and it lies at the core of everything. Number two, we're calling for the cancellation by executive order of all federally owned student loans. But that first thing, bankruptcy, although nobody wants to file, it's a terrible thing to have to do. It remains the penultimate most important thing that we have to get done if we're going to see any kind of meaningful student loan cancellation down the road. This Biden $10,000 nonsense, $10,000, $20,000 nonsense, it's nonsense, guys. It's nonsense. It was designed to fail. We, the people, have got to get the leverage of bankruptcy back on our side. Whether you would ever or never file for bankruptcy is not important. When we get the leverage of bankruptcy returned, they're going to have to cancel loans broadly, meaningfully, deeply, maybe even totally. And maybe I'll explain that later if you have any questions, if you don't understand that. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I want to get right into it. We need to talk about fake news. So a little history. We've been doing this for 18 years now. We've been featured top story on 60 Minutes. We've broken news there. We've broken news at the Chronicle of Higher Education. We've broken front page news at the Wall Street Journal. We've broken news at Inside Higher Ed and the New York Times, many other places. So I think we know how the media operates in this space, and we have watched it closer than almost anything for the past 18 years. And I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that today in 2023, our opposition, the student loan swamp, the people who foisted this unconstitutional lending scam on us, have almost completely captured the mainstream media. It's terrible. I'm going to look for your comments now here. I want to just take you through. I could pick literally almost any article at random from the internet today talking about student loans, and I can show you exactly what the game is, probably who's behind it, and what the intent of the article is. It's seeded by the swamp. And that's literally true for 90, probably 8% of all media that gets pushed into our brains, into the zeitgeist on the student loan issue. It's frankly disgusting. But I'm just going to trot out a couple of examples. This is one of the most blatant. So you may be wondering, well, who are the bad media that we should look out for, Alan? All of them, literally all of them. Like, I mean, if you see Matt Taibbi write something, you can probably trust that. I could maybe throw out like Mo Takasik. I can name the number of trustworthy reporters on the student loan issue on probably 3, 4, maybe 5 fingers on a good day. So all of them. The worst is Forbes magazine. The writers at Forbes, they make money. They literally make money, and it's public knowledge. They make money on the student loan scam. This Adam Minsky character, for example, he is a lawyer, and he makes his living, apparently, according to people I know that he's duped, he makes his living steering desperate defaulted borrowers into loan rehabilitation, among other things. So guys like Adam Minsky and whoever the other writers are at Forbes, they have absolutely no interest in seeing student loan cancellation. That would put them out of a job. The last thing they want to do is see student loan cancellation. The first thing they want to do is keep the student loan scam going. And they write thusly. I don't even read Forbes magazine anymore, guys. I haven't for years. In fact, I wrote a few articles at Forbes magazine, so you know. And after, I think, 2 or 3 articles, the president of Sallie Mae had my editor to lunch. And lo and behold, I never wrote anything at Forbes after that. So that kind of goes to show you what's going on behind the scenes. But let me just give you one blatant illustration, and I could probably dig up dozens of similar illustrations from Forbes magazine alone. But here is just one example. Hopefully you can see this. So before the election, and these are exact verbatim screenshots almost. These are exact quotes from Forbes magazine. These are article headlines from Forbes magazine. Before the election, Forbes screams, and this is like literally a couple of weeks before the election, Biden affirms, I will eliminate your student debt. The sub headline or whatever, the byline or whatever you want to call it. Biden reaffirmed his commitment to broad student loan forgiveness at a town hall in Miami on Tuesday. That says what it says, right? That's like not ambiguous at all. And in fact, Forbes actually misquoted Joe Biden at that town hall, because Joe Biden said, and if I'm elected president, I will eliminate a lot of your student loan debt. A lot of. The devil is in the details, my friend. Joe Biden never wanted to cancel much or even any student loan debt. Certainly not by executive order, but that's kind of a different story. The point is, Forbes flooded this story into the public conversation 2 weeks before the election. And that particular story went completely and totally viral. Like, everybody picked it up across the internet. And that was the big headline before the election. After the election, lo and behold, a full year after Biden was already in office, oh, well, here we have Forbes again. And the headline of this story is, no, comma, Biden didn't promise to cancel your student loans. And I mean, do I really even have to talk about this anymore? Does that not fucking speak for itself? So that's Forbes magazine. Yeah, and you know, I could start naming names. Yahoo Finance is absolutely horrible. CNBC is terrible. I'm sorry to have to say that. Even Business Insider, and I'm going to talk about that here today. Even Business Insider, I'm sorry, but they're just not good anymore. And I'm very sorry to have to say that. Both for CNBC and for Business Insider. You know, we've done a lot of work with CNBC. In fact, CNBC came to my house one time and they filmed an hour-long documentary about the student loan problem. Like, they followed me around for a couple days, and it was a very strong segment that they did back in like 2010 or something like that. So CNBC used to do good stuff on this topic. But those days are long gone, ladies and gentlemen. It's just gone. Similarly, with Business Insider, and I'm going to show you this article too, and I feel bad doing this because I like Ayelet Sheffi, she's a relatively new reporter on the higher education beat. And to Ayelet's great credit, when she first came on the scene, she did some very credible reporting on this issue. She really did some good reporting on this issue. She, for example, broke the story about how over a third of U.S. states owe more. The people in those states owe more in student loan debt than their entire state budgets. That was a solid story, and it was very important that people knew that. And I think Ayelet also interviewed some of our people about older people with student loans. I think I believe she interviewed Lisa Ansell about the public service loan forgiveness program. So she's done good stuff. But, ladies and gentlemen, we see this again and again. These reporters come onto the scene. They start doing reporting on student loans. They do some good stories early on, but over time, you'd have to ask them what's actually going on over there. But over time, the student loan swamp gets their hooks into them. And we saw the exact same thing with Annie Nova at CNBC. Very sorry to say that. We saw honestly, I saw something similar with a girl, Anya Kamenetz. She did some great groundbreaking reporting on the student loan story. And anyways, it's just, I can't explain it, guys, but I can only tell you that this is what happens. And so, here's another example. I'm going to show you one more story. And this was out, I think, yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. This is from Ayelet Sheffi, the Business Insider. Hopefully you can see that. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is complete and absolute propaganda. So let's look at the headline. Biden's plan to give millions of student loan borrowers who fell behind on payments a fresh shot at debt relief is working. So the article is about something called the Fresh Start program, where defaulted student loan borrowers can get their loans taken out of default before repayment starts, and they can consolidate their loans into a new loan, and they can do all these things. It's a horrible program, ladies and gentlemen. It's tantamount to student loan rehabilitation. And I've discussed this in previous nights. This is where you sign for a new, much larger loan, and at least with these rehabilitation loans, statistically, 80% of these rehabilitated loans, 75 or 80%, probably even more, they wind up defaulting a second time. So there's nothing good about these rehab loans, and signing your name to a new, much larger loan is just fucking stupid in my very well-studied opinion. And the proof is in the pudding. When 80% of these things, 75, 80%, are defaulting again, yeah, Houston, we have a problem. This article obviously makes absolutely no mention of that fact, for loan rehabilitation. And I can maybe talk about that a little more later, but here's the guts of the article. So the guts of the article is that Biden announced the Fresh Start plan, and to claim that this program is working, they point to data from the New York Fed that found that less than 1% of borrowers are in default due to the plan. So that's really good, right? That's like, wow, that's incredible. And the public data out there is that the default rate for all student loan borrowers, even before COVID, was going to be 40% for people who left school in 2004. So for more recent borrowers, it was going to be way more than 40%. So what's this now? Ayelet claims we have a less than 1% of borrowers are in default because of this Fresh Start program. Wow, that looks really good. And then the third bullet point that the secretary confirmed, blah, 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 payments are going to return. Okay, I don't care about that. So then that, and let's face it, guys, pretty much those points and the headline are pretty much what probably 80% of distressed student loan borrowers are going to read. They'll be like, oh, Fresh Start. Okay, I need to do that because I'm in default. That's what most people are going to come away with. But then you look at the actual article to claim that, oh, defaults are at less than 1% now because of this Fresh Start program. That's completely fucking false. And in the article, they cover themselves way down in the third paragraph or something like that. Hopefully you can see my mouse here. And What they're actually saying is that before this Fresh Start program was rolled out, the New York Fed found that 1.05% of balances were in serious delinquency. And that 1.05% had declined to 0.94% in the first quarter of 23, so year over year. So what the fuck does that even mean? That means that delinquency has decreased slightly. It actually says nothing about default. And remember also, guys, the New York Fed, all they do is take data from credit reporting agencies, and credit reporting agencies report whatever the fuck they want. That's not solid data at all. Higher in the article, they say that 7.5 million borrowers are in default or delinquency. It's actually much higher than that, I believe. And I'm going to check that right after this live stream. In fact, it should be far, far higher than that. I think it's closer to 10 or 11 or maybe even 12 million people in default or have defaulted. But nonetheless, this article would make the rational reader would think, oh, 7.5 million borrowers in delinquency or default. Well, that's a lot. Oh, but now the Fed says it's less than 1% now. So one would assume that like 7.3 of those 7.5 million borrowers are now out of default, right? I mean, that would stand to reason. That's what a normal person would come away with from reading this. That's just complete garbage, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to check and see how many defaulted student loans are still out there. I would bet it's not only higher than 7.5 million, but much higher. And I don't know how many people have availed themselves of this Fresh Start program. And guys, don't be fooled. This is not a fresh start. It's like taking dirty laundry and throwing it in the dryer. It's not a fresh start at all. So I don't know how many people have done this Fresh Start thing, but I'm guessing it's probably less than 100,000. It would be my guess. In fact, and I usually guess really conservatively on these things, it could well be that only 10 or 15,000 people have even done this. Could even be less. Sometimes we find that these numbers are just outrageously small. So what are we even talking about here? We're talking about a program that probably very few people have used. The Federal Reserve data is like pointing to the stars in the sky and saying, look, that planet's aligned with that star. Therefore, it's going to be sunny tomorrow in Florida. Like, that's how disconnected those data are from one another. It's buffoonery. And I'm sorry, but Ayelet Sheffi has been writing about the student loan topic for quite a few years now, like 2, if not 3 years. And I'm sorry, but she knows better. Ayelet, I'm sorry, but you know better. You do. And I don't know where else this story has been propagated to, because honestly, guys, I don't even read the mainstream media almost at all anymore, because the nonsense is just, I would spend all day pointing out all the bullshit, all the just flagrantly mis and disinformation that is being pumped into our minds. I could spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I would never get through even probably a third of the stories that are just seeding nonsense, propaganda. And the article goes on, they're going to reach, the whole point of the article is to make people feel like, oh, everybody's getting out of default. I better get out of default. I better do this Fresh Start. That's the whole point of the fucking article, guys. The whole point. And doing this Fresh Start thing is massively fraught with massive risks. You sign for a new loan, and all the bullshit starts over again. You default again, and you probably will if the loan rehabilitation program is any relevant measure, and I think it is. It's a terrible thing to have to do, terrible thing to want to do, terrible thing to do, probably in almost certain fact. But here is the Department of Education just trying to sign as many people up as possible so that when the repayment starts, they'll be like, okay, I have a fresh start now. Here, take more of my money. Okay, let's do this. Let's get back on this. Let's get back on this broken roller coaster and let's give it one more shot. It's fucking terrible, guys. It's fucking terrible. And I respected Eilert for some of her previous work, and I could say the same thing about any number of reporters. So I don't mean to single her out for any particular reason other than this seems to be the bad, shitty propaganda art of the day. But you guys really need to know about this stuff. You really need to know how much mis and disinformation is out there. You know, the media used to be pretty good in 2005, 6, 7. Pretty much all of our research that we gave to reporters wound up being broken in the mainstream media. And like that 60 Minutes piece, for example, that culminated in a very serious Senate and New York State Attorney General's investigation that led to some, well, it was quite frankly the largest scandal in the history of our education. People were fired, and this, a lot of important truth was uncovered, and it led to a meaningful piece of legislation being passed to stop all the terrible things that the 60 Minutes piece and the subsequent investigations uncovered. In fact, this culminated in Ted Kennedy's final piece of higher education legislation, the Student Loan Sunshine Act. So good for us. But guys, I'm telling you, those days are gone. Those days are gone. We cannot trust the media at all. We cannot. And everyone, if I see good media out there, I will certainly point to it. I will certainly not post this propaganda nonsense on our group. It's poison for your mind. It's doing nobody any good. It's baffling, bamboozling, confusing, and more importantly, in a very sinister and cynical way, trying to push you to do things that are obviously against your financial best interests. And, again, I'm going to just make one more point about this particular article, but this is indicative of almost every article that we see today. Nowhere does this reporter or almost any others ever interview critics, people with a critical view of this claim. At best, what we've seen lately is that when they want a view from, what's the citizen's perspective? They will contact a fucking AstroTurf group, which is just completely fucking fake. Like, I don't know, Student Debt Crisis or the Washington, D.C. based Young Invincibles. These groups are so fucking fake, it makes blood shoot out of my eyes. Student Debt Crisis is straight up corrupted. We found people from their group back before they rebranded. We found people from their group from literally an AstroTurf company, famous for AstroTurf, called the DCI Group. This group, Student Debt Crisis, last I checked, they use their group as hunting grounds for vulnerable, desperate usually defaulted student loan borrowers that people like Adam Minsky and those other charlatan student loan lawyers, that whole crowd, that whole gang, can throw into student loan rehabilitation or consolidation, where it's obvious to me, anyways. We haven't had them admit it yet, but they're making money off. There's a huge fee that goes to them from the federal government on these loan rehabilitations, 16% commission in many instances. So, and I don't think they're even telling the borrowers about that. So, in other words, these groups are not citizen groups. They're not. They're fucking fake. So, pardon my French, ladies and gentlemen, but I mean, this is the poster child for how disinformation has is now a clear and present danger to the citizens. The student loan problem is probably one of the first poster childs of this. Like, I know the media on many different areas has gotten terrible, and we've seen that. We've seen all the stuff. The Twitter file, we've seen all that stuff. But guys, I'm telling you, it is acute. It is acute in the student loan space. Oh, I don't know what to tell you guys except for forewarned is forearmed. Don't believe almost anything you see in the media. And when the facts, when the statistics in the article just seem to like fall apart, be completely sideways from the headline of the article, they kind of make your head spin and go, what? It's because it's probably just complete fucking nonsense, like the example that I just took you through. So yeah, guys. I tried to play Dirty Laundry. If you listen to the lyrics of that song, if you're of a certain age, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Yeah, the news is not news anymore. It's fake news. And we've been saying that since way before Donald Trump, by the way. The news had gotten just absolutely horrible since like 2011 was a turning point, like Occupy Wall Street. 2009 was kind of the tipping point, like the financial crisis. All of a sudden, we saw all these mainstream media outlets just go completely cold on the student loan issue. And when they came back and started writing about student loans, it was like, what happened here? NPR is probably the worst. But anyways, I digress. I could start throwing the names of any number of major mainstream media outlets out there. Forewarned is forearmed, guys. These are your loans. Your livelihood hangs in the balance of how this nonsense turns out for us. You better take that very seriously. And if you don't want to wind up like me and so many other people on this group in their 50s, 60s, and 70s who spent, or even 80s, and maybe I think even beyond at this point, whose entire adult lives have been wrecked by these loans, you better take it very seriously. So if I knew anywhere else where you could find true, unadulterated truth about the student loan issue, I would point you to them. And sometimes we do see good articles out there, sometimes. But it's like, at this point, it's like a needle in the haystack. And when we do see good media, you can bet that we will loudly and proudly post them on our group. But this is just really important, guys. You know, forewarned is forearmed, and so yeah, dudes. I'm sorry. I'm looking for your comments now. Okay, there we go. You know what, guys? I'm just gonna wrap it up. I can't Facebook. I just can't see them sometimes. But I've tried to warn everybody. I hope that you will spread the word about this group. I hope you will. I hope that it's kind of starting to dawn on you that we can win this battle easily, guys. We can. We control this lending system. We, the borrowers. The overwhelming majority of student loan borrowers were never going to be able to repay their loans before the pandemic. That's more true today. And I don't even think that 20, maybe 25% at the most of student loan borrowers are ever going to resume paying on their loans. So we are the huge, large majority of all student loan borrowers. You'll never realize that reading the media, but it's true. And if you want to get some real truth, this is my last little thing for the night. If you want to get if you really want to understand the student loan problem, the best and in many ways only place that I can point you is our research. I stand behind it 1,000%, 1,000,000%. Okay, that's impossible. I stand behind it 100%. We've been researching and writing about the student loan issue for many years, guys. I don't I don't take chances. I make sure that before I publish anything, I make sure that it's absolutely rock solid, usually based on nothing more than publicly available federal Department of Education or White House or other federal data. I'm not saying federal data is perfect. It's not, but it's the best that we have. And I don't spin weird little, I don't go, hey, look at this nonsense from the Federal Reserve. Therefore, no, I don't do that. And you can read our research for yourself. You can see it right down there. So let me just kill that. You can see the truth as best as we've been able to discern it. And I think it's pretty good. We wouldn't be around for long if we started telling lies and stuff about the student loan problem. We're a easily squashed bug on the internet. So we take great pride in not ever putting out mis or disinformation. We don't do that. Our stock and trade is the quality of our research. And I happily stand here right now before you, willing to defend any and every claim that we make in these articles. So that's the best I can do. There are some very shocking truths in there. I'm not going to bore you with the headlines, but stuff that would make your jaw drop and stuff that you will never hear, never read about in the mainstream media. So we got this battle, but we've got to fight it, dudes. We've just got to fight it, and I hope that will will register with you. Okay, guys, it's Tuesday. I'm done for the day. Well, I'll still be doing this probably for most of the night, but this live stream is done. Spread the word. Very last thing I'll say is if you can donate, please do it. If you appreciate truth, if you appreciate this group, if you appreciate all that we've done, all that we're doing, and all that we're poised to get done, a la bankruptcy rights and student loan cancellation by executive order, then please donate, dudes. I suck at fundraising, by the way. We need to raise $400 this week. So we need 40 people to donate $10 or 20 people to donate $20. So just please make that happen, please, so that I can shut up about it. Okay, guys, I'll see you all tomorrow. Do our daily actions. If you forget everything I say tonight, remember at least this. This is the most effective, most efficient use of your time. And that's it. I'm out. Drop the mic. Good luck. God bless. And Godspeed, everyone.